I don't want to undersell the magnitude of this. Joining us on the line right now, guys, is one of the star competitors for this year's 25th annual Super 8 tournament up in Morganville, New Jersey. He is the Colossal one, and just a couple years ago, he practically stole the show en route to almost winning the tournament. Joining us, Colossal Mike Law. Mike, how you feeling tonight? Just days out, man.
Wow, yeah, it's here, man. It keeps so quick.
I know. I can't believe it.
It's one of those things where, you think about it when they first start making those announcements, and, you try to prepare yourself mentally and physically. And then you're like, God, it's the week of the one, and arguably one of the biggest tournament of the year. And not only, in the United States, but in the wrestling business. So, like you stated before, 2 years ago, well, 3 years ago now, right? Stole the show against Chase Owens. Hopefully I get to compete against one of his trainers in Ricky Morton. That would be ideal for me to avenge my loss to Chase Owens in 2018.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at it, Ricky Morton is certainly a guy that I think everybody would be excited to maybe get in the ring with. Certainly a legend. And it's strange because Super 8 usually is all about kind of making names and helping guys get to that next level. As far as Ricky Morton goes, man, I can't even imagine the motivation to want to get in there with all you young guys.
I got to respect Ricky Morton, man. I'm the guy who's just still willing to go out there and give it his all, and there are guys that are nowhere near his experience level or legendary status that half-assed it. So I think in his mind, it's just the idea of I can still go, man. I'm going to showcase to these younger guys, these probably, obviously less experienced guys that I still can go at a high level. I can respect that. I admire that. You know what I mean? I don't think he's gonna win. You know what I mean? I'll put my money on myself. And so, but I have to respect the fact that he feels the need that to still continue to prove himself when there are so many people out there who, who have nowhere near an iota of time that Ricky Morton has had, and just constantly bitch and complain about not, being overlooked and overseen. Ricky Morton is a legend, and he's out here facing guys like myself, with the idea of facing Timothy Lurette and, facing, Dasher, Killian McMurphy, the list of the Super 8 competitors.
Any fear or concern about taking the Canadian Destroyer at some point?
No, because I wouldn't. To me, it's I can spot it from a mile away. You know what I mean? I've been. You see, why I don't have the household name of Ricky Morton or the hype of a very good pro wrestler or the MMA background of Matt Mikowski. I truly believe in my mind and my soul and my heart and my body and my emotions that I truly am hungrier than any of those guys. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those guys that gets put out there on the internet world as, an internet darling, and that's perfectly fine, man. I've proven myself time and time again as more than just another wrestler, a very high level athlete. But I think me winning this is everything coming full circle. It has to happen. You know what I mean? After this, I'm going to go train. You know what I mean? I was training at 2 a.m. the wrestling gym in Queens the other day. There's only so many chances in this life that we have to be allowed to be great. And for me, I see it as that. I see it as this being another opportunity that I can't possibly fail in being great, because there's only so many opportunities to be great that you're allotted in this lifetime.
I look at it like it's kind of a momentum thing, Mike. And certainly this is where you would factor in last time you did the Super 8, right? And you had a very great showing. A lot of people thought, you should have probably won. You followed that up with an ECWA heavyweight title. Don't think a lot of people expected that. Reign of nearly a year. And you continued to build and build and build all the way to even, I believe it was back in December, the match with Joey Ace. That that was the one through the chair and all the insanity. But that was an amazing match. And I feel like even last month against Misha Ulala, which was that was a weird situation because it's a coal miner's glove and all that stuff. But like,
Right.
I just feel like you just keep building and building and building, and it's like, where else is there to go but the top at this point?
No, you raise a very good point, man. I'll never be happy. I'll never be happy or satisfied with myself. I'll probably die a very upset person with my life because of the fact so much that I want to do and accomplish, and that there'll never be enough time to do that. But with that being said, you know, I think the version of me in 2018 wasn't the same. The air of confidence that I protrude and that I showcase to everybody now in these days far exceeds anything in 2018. In 2018, I felt like that younger guy breaking in, you know what I mean? And then this year, in the last few years, I would say since then, I feel like if you ever seen me, you know that the confidence level has risen by a high quality amount. You know what I mean? It's not even the same individual. I think it's being put in there in pressure cooker matches. I think it's the idea of, you know, having no expectations. That's stuff that there's no one in the world that's going to be a bigger detriment to me than myself. You know what I mean? I'm always going to be my biggest critic. I'm always going to go out there and rip myself apart. And I'm certainly going to be the one that, you know, decides in my head if I have what it takes to win the Super 8 this year.
You know, you're talking about Ricky Morton as like a dream opponent. Is there anybody kind of in that field that you look at and think like, man, like this is who I got to worry about?
Again, just going back to what I said, I don't, and from a physical standpoint, I feel great. You know what I mean? Wrestling, we all wrestle with injuries, so it's not like something new about like, hey, you know, either my ankle's messed up or my shoulder. You know what I mean? Like we all wrestle with injuries. I don't believe there's anyone in wrestling these days that will be able to outmatch me. You know, when I'm motivated, you know, and that's where I'm at right now. I'm extremely motivated. The time to be, you know, to half-ass things isn't for this Saturday for Super 8. It's to go full throttle the way you did against Joey Ace. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, I'll be a little bit more cautious this time as far as, you know, what I decide to do in the ring, but I'll certainly, you know, give everything I have. And at the end of the day, you know, if people will be speaking about me, they will be mentioning my name. They will remember my performance at the 2021 Super 8.
One of the fans wants to know if you're doing any kind of special training heading into this Saturday.
You know, a lot of it's more cardio, you know what I mean? More endurance. It's one of those things where, you know, as wrestlers, we have pro wrestling cardio is different from any other cardio. You know, you could get on a treadmill for an hour. You can get on a Stairmaster for 2 hours. You know, I've done kickboxing before, even training kickboxing. Pro wrestling cardio, man, is just unlike anything else because there's so many little intricacies of what we do in there to not only make sure that our you know, that we don't get blown up, but also to make sure that we have enough energy to continue, you know. And and I think anybody will tell you, if you train in any sport and then come into pro wrestling, you know that pro wrestling training is just such a different, almost unnatural form of training. And for me, it's just been a lot of you know, drills, you know, just drills. I mean, there's too many different ways to do drills, but I think for me, it's just been a lot of drills and, you know, just getting my endurance up, man. I don't want to be one of those guys that, you know, I'm hot match 1 and then match 2, I'm dead. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm dying here and I need to come out round 3 if I'm able to get through round 2 with an oxygen tank. You know, that's just not the way I envision these things.
Well, is it as difficult as it sounds to wrestle 3 matches as opposed to 1 or 2?
Absolutely. Because you know, if it was back to back, it's not that bad. But what I've seen from my experience is you get that burst of energy and you're, you know, ready to go, and then, you know, even after the match, you're hyped. All right, let's go. I want to fight again. You know, I want to go out there again. But then when you cool down, that sucks because now your whole body's pretty much just cooled down and it's like starting over, not even from ground zero, it's from like -50. You know what I mean? And that's to me the hardest thing from a physical and an almost mental aspect of any tournament is the waiting. You know, you're waiting for that second round.
Sure,
Right. You're kind of praying that me mentally, I'm praying that I'm the last seed in the first round, and then that way, you know,
the second, yeah.
Wait between the rounds. You know, I think that's not skill based. That's just, you know, that's the luck of the draw.
Well, sure, yeah, absolutely. Now I saw online that Christopher Daniels, ECWA legend and certainly a Hall of Famer just about anywhere, he said some really cool stuff about ECWA and Super 8 and what it meant to his career. Do you ever kind of sit back and look at that kind of stuff and just like is that a pinch me thing for you that you're getting to do this with the Super 8 again?
Absolutely, man. You know, to say that losing in 2018 was a huge disappointment to myself and many people is an understatement. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I was like, yeah, this was it. You know, to me, I was like, I had worked so hard, and it went from a guy that wasn't even considered when I first started ECWA in 2017 to work, like literally working my ass off from like wrestling for, you know, for little to no money to going in there and building myself up to finally getting the opportunity to wrestle in the Super 8. And, you know, it's more of a mental thing, but I always think about it, like, how many more chances in this life am I going to have to be great? Sure. You know? And, you know, as we progress, I don't like saying aging, but as we progress in age, I start to think about that. You know, I go, there's only, especially in our wrestling industry, you know, you just never know. And I always feel like, man, like this all could be over tomorrow, you know? And I always say, like, I always feel that anytime I get in there, I have to put the pressure on myself to be like great, you know? And sometimes I don't hit the mark the way I want to, but I think, you know, going into this weekend, my thought process is like, Mike, there's only so many shots. There's only so many chances that you have left. And that might not be the case, but I have to put that sense of urgency in my head, because if I don't, I'll get lazy and I will defeat myself. Not Matt Mikowski, you know, not Killian McMurphy, not Timothy Loretton, not Ricky Morton, you know, none of the other guys, not Bam Sullivan. None of those guys will defeat me. I'm going to defeat myself. If this, you know what I mean? Like, I will have mentally and physically defeated myself. And I'm not saying it as a bullshit, like, you know, like swerve to anybody who's like, oh, well, this guy's, you know, a sore loser or whatever. No, man, I anytime that I've come up short, it's because of me. It's because I've defeated myself. And I think a lot of people do that, you know. I think I'm not in a rare situation where that has happened.
Now, this being the 25th year of the Super 8 tournament, obviously huge significance, just the historic aspect, and from where you came from, Mike. I mean, obviously being a huge wrestling fan, what did Super 8 mean for you even before you got into wrestling? Was it something that you knew about?
Going back to what Christopher Daniels said, and in utmost respect to him, he's one of the guys that competed in the tournament numerous times. But to me, like, I look at guys like that, you know what I mean, as somebody who used to open those PWI magazines and look and just talk about it with my dearly departed friend Spiral BKNY. You know, we talk about being in that tournament one day. I remember losing to Chase Owens and bawling, you know what I mean? And it wasn't, you know, part of me was like, you know, I had been disappointed in myself in the loss. I'm not going to lie. But to me, I felt like for him, you know, who was certainly watching, I felt like that was like, you know, that performance is dedicated to you, man. Like, I wanted you to know that, you know, even though you're not here physically, that this was for you, you know. This year, you know, all things considered, my mom passing last year, I look at it like that, you know what I mean? I've always been a fan of the Super 8, just dating back to the early days, you know, whether it was Ace Starling or Lance Simon Diamond, the first winner of the ECWA Super 8.
Yeah.
You know, Matt Hardy, Billy Kidman, Reckless Youth, Trent Acid, there's so many individuals that have competed in this tournament, Low Key, Red, Quiet Storm, Tony Nese, Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa. My God, I mean, just a who's who of people. Jerry Lynn, Mike Mondo. I mean, there's just so many individuals that compete in this tournament, man, and to be in that same category with those individuals, it's an honor, man. Like, there are guys who probably bullshit themselves and saying like, oh, I'm better than those guys and whatever. And that's not for me to say,
Sure.
But I will certainly say that a lot of those guys, Xavier, God rest his soul too, Scoot Andrews, another incredible talent. Those guys paved the way for the style that we now see. You know what I mean? It's just the Super 8 was that style wrestling given to fans once a year, when it's full limits, before anybody else was doing it on a larger scale.
Now, winning this tournament, what would that do for your career, in your opinion? Would it enhance it? Would it keep it about the same, but just make you more focused? Like, how do you look at that?
There's only one detrimental thing that's gonna keep me from being successful in life, and that's me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Does it winning the tournament make it a bigger ordeal for me in the history books of the professional wrestling industry? Absolutely. You're in that same lineage as Jerry Lynn or Richard Holiday, who won a few years back, or Lance Noah, who won it 2 years ago. I look at it that way. You know what I mean? That to be in the position to be in the same category as some of the greats that have competed in the Super 8, that's huge. That's satisfying to me as somebody who wants to leave a legacy in the wrestling industry. It's weird because money's important, fame is important, and all that. But after a while, I think to myself, it's like, what do you want to leave behind? And that's the legacy, man. I want to be able to look back and say, this is my body of work. This is what I did. So it is incredibly important to me. Will it help springboard my career to something else? I don't know. That's up to the promoters. That's up to the people who, choose their flavors of the month. You know what I mean? That's what that is. For me, I think it's more of a personal victory and an opportunity to be like, man, like, despite a lot of people being naysayers, a lot of people laughing at that 15-year-old kid who started training in 1998, I think it gives me like that sense of everything coming full circle. You know what I mean? And that's satisfying to me, man. And that's why I need to win. These guys, I don't know, as far as that, a very good pro wrestler. I mean, he has had great opportunities and he deserves it. Matt Mikowski's still very new to the game. Ricky Morton's a legend. Alex Anthony's been around. Van Sullivan, same thing, still very young. These guys have had opportunities or will be getting. For me, I have to think to myself mentally, hey, this is your last chance. I have to put that urgency, because if I don't, I'm going to make a mistake and I'm going to fumble and cause me to fail, and I can't fail, man. I put into the work. I put in. When you see me on Saturday, you'll see, like, my best version, man. And I refuse to like let myself be defeated like that. I don't want to go out like that.
Okay. Well, for those who are on YouTube or on Patreon, I'm actually wearing the 15th annual. This is the Super 8 from, I believe it was 2010. Well, it was 10 years ago. So
there you go.
So 2011, and that was the one that where like 7 out of the 8 guys got signed within like 2 or 3 months of that tournament. If you think about it, it was Tommaso, it was Adam Cole, it was Sami Callihan, it was Rich Swann, it was all these different. Austin Aries was part of that group as well. He won the TNA title like a couple months after that. I mean, just to kind of think about some of the amazing moments that Super 8 has helped create for people and created in and of itself, Mike. Is there like a favorite Super 8 moment for you, or is that still to come?
I think it's still to come. I don't know if there was anything, obviously from my standpoint personally, the idea of being in the Super 8 and, getting to face a guy like Chase Owens was a huge deal to me, just because I know a lot of people were looking to see me fail and like fall on my face and not be able to, compete at a level against Chase, which I certainly believe I did. But I think for me, I always feel that, the best days are ahead. I never want to look back and like, oh, those were the greatest day of my life. It's so sad when you see people talk about high school and how like high school was my favorite time of my life. No, man, like there's so much more that's coming, and I'm just always going to be hungry. You know what I mean? Like I'm always going to be, the kind of guy that when my body and my mind tells me to, that's when it'll be time to go. But that will not be anytime soon. And
okay.
I love the fact that, even looking through the magazines, like a guy like Trent Acid, like God rest his soul, he was another guy that, was, back when I was coming up was like, a huge star, and had it. Watching Jerry Lynn win it, a few years back was awesome to me, you know what I mean? Because I agree to an extent that the Super 8 was always about like the younger unknown talent. I have no problem with the tournament being switched up. I love the idea that Matt Tremont was in the Super 8 last year. Like that match. Okay, that match for him and Chris Rockwell was one of my favorite matches in the Super 8, in the Super 8 history. And it's because it was so different from everything else that had been presented. The Super 8's a high flying, technical aspect, like scientific wrestling, and to see them break away from that, for me as a fan, I enjoyed it. So if I'm going to go with that kind of mentality, I would say that Matt Tremont versus Chris Rockwell.
That was great.
Right. I enjoyed it.
It's different. It definitely is different. One of the fans wanted to know and this might be a sore spot, but one of the fans wanted to know what was more disappointing for you, losing that Super 8 tournament 3 years ago, or losing the World 1 title back in December in that unification match.
Wow, that's a good one. I would say just by a little bit, because here's the thing: when I was in the 2018 Super 8, the expectations were like I think they purposely put me in there with Chase to make me look bad, to make me look like I was less than, and that that it wouldn't matter. Like, okay, well, this guy, I'm not gonna delve too into it because it's like a lot of backstage bullshit. But the point being, like, I think they made it like very clear that they wanted me out, and that they were gonna put me in against the top guy with the idea that, oh, this guy's not gonna hang. That's my mentality, and I could be wrong, but that's what I really believe. Going back to the World 1 ECWA unification title match, I think that hurt me a little bit because I with Joey Ace, I don't think he's the guy. I know it's gonna get me heat. I don't
really.
I don't
wow.
think he's the guy. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't believe he's the guy to carry this company, man. I said it in promos and I said it in interviews before. Like, I just truly believe that. And so a couple people have posted like, oh, that Joey's the face of ECWA, and I go, I don't think he is. You know what I mean? I believe I am. And I think if you give me another go around with it, I would certainly prove that. And I'll say this: he motivated me because to me, I go, if people are starting to believe that, then that to me just shows that I haven't done my job. And I think that was to me was disappointing because my mentality was like, I'm going to carry this company. I'm going to be the guy that, is going to, hold Big Red once again, I did a lot of things with that title. And I felt that, had I kept it initially, I think we would have done even bigger things with it. And, I wait a rematch down the line, like that's it's all fair. He won. I can't debate it.
No, but I mean, you raised some interesting points. And when you talk about like maybe the company wanted you in there against Chase, because they're trying to, I forget how you put it, maybe keep you down or something like that. I found it interesting because this isn't actually the second time that you've been announced for the Super 8. This is the
Right.
third time you've been announced. Now, in 2017, you got taken out the day of the tournament, right when it's about to start. I just feel like for you, it's just constantly been trying to build and dig yourself out of whatever predicament you're in.
That's the story of my career, man. That really is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not one to ever go online and, I know a lot of guys like, oh, they're sleeping on me and they're doing this and all this bullshit. Like, on this, I'll say it because I know that I've always maintained myself as a professional. I've always done what I've been told. I've always tried to exceed any expectations. And there may be certain things that I could have done better. I understand. But I always feel it's always been that case. It's always been like, he's there, but we're going to take it back and we're not going to give it to him, and
right.
It is frustrating, seeing that. I'm not, I'm not bullshitting you there, Brady. I being around as long as I have, it is frustrating. I came back to full time, to wrestle full time in 2015. And, I've always, done the right thing and been about helping the company and everyone and just being a team player and just working hard and saying less and doing more. But, I think sometimes it gets to a point where it's like, I see dudes and guys and girls 2 years in shit like complaining about like, oh, how come I'm not signed, or I my body, like, what the try doing this for as long as I have. And and it's and I'm not the only one, because I look at people like Holodead, LaFisto. I'm like, what, you know what I mean? So I know there's people within the realm of who have the experience that get called upon, but don't ever get given the opportunities that other people have, and some of them may be on me, you know what I mean? But I've always said that, just let me go out there and do my thing, man. And if I drop the ball, it's on me. But when it's me getting the ball once every 2 years and then someone getting the ball every few weeks, it's kind of hard to keep a smile on your face, and it's kind of hard to take people seriously when they've only been doing this for 2-3 years and they're complaining about not getting opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, back when I started, you had a mail VHS with a resume. You know how many times I had a message or sent emails to Jim Kettner? I was trying to get into Super 8, not even Super 8, into ECWA like years ago.
That's funny.
They finally threw a dog a bone in 2017, and then that whole thing with that Super 8 was kind of obnoxious. That's a long story that I'm not gonna get into.
I understand. That was a year-long build with you wanting to be in it. Yeah. We were doing an interview a year before that talking about your passion and drive to be in the 2017 one. So it wasn't like just a real quick thing that came and went. It was a long build. But, I'm not trying to dig up anything. I just thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting.
It's just, it's not like, we could be here for, like, dissecting that whole mess for like 2 hours.
Listen, I didn't mean to dig up anything there, but we're looking forward to this Saturday. Of course, you'll be joined Killian McMurphy, Timmy Lou Retton, Bam Sullivan, Alex Anthony, Matt Mikowski, a very good professional wrestler who won it last year, and Ricky Morton. Mike, on the way out, because we're up against the commercial break, do you have any words for these guys? Do you have any kind of parting thoughts?
Just be ready, boys. You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like, I've been denied too many times, and I think some of it may be on my own accord, and I can't anymore, man. Time is really ticking, and I'm not gonna let this opportunity pass me by, man. Like, I will, I'll do whatever I have to do, man. I really will. I'm not. These guys can fight to live another day. I can as well, but I don't see it that way. I see the Super 8 this weekend as like the final thing for me, if you know what I mean. And I'm not alluding to, I'm just saying in my mind, I have to believe that this is it for me. This is the only chance, one last chance to, have greatness, and I'm going to win it, man. Like, those guys come back 2 years from now when they're ready. I'm taking it.
Well, I like the confidence, Mike. Best of luck, and I can't wait to see you on Saturday, the Super 8 tournament up there in Morganville, New Jersey.